Morning, students. In this class, I am going to speak to you on the theme of social betrayal in Girish Karnad's Taladanda. Girish Karnad's fourth English play, Taladanda, is based on the age-old practice of betrayal that upper castes have been doing for a long time. It presents the drastic consequences of the meaningless caste system in India. Karnad has derived the title of the play from Dara Bendre, a well-known Kannada poet who wanted to present a play on Basavanna under the same title 50 years ago. Taladanda means death by beheading. It was a common practice in medieval Karnataka to offer one's head either on completion of one's woe or in penitence. Basavanna, the protagonist, uses the word in a sense of, quote, offer my head, unquote. Whenever he faces a critical situation, for example, at the time of accusation of misappropriation of the treasury fund. The social structure during the mid-12th century was under the dominance of the Varna Dharma. Karnad has seriously taken up the issues of untouchability, emancipation of women, intercaste marriage, etc. from the life of Basaveshwara, who took revolutionary steps and proved the falsity of the traditional customs. He strongly opposed bigotry. He thus opposed casteism and idolatry. The history of India is the history of the struggle of the caste. On the one hand, we have the Brahminical and its allied ideologies of scripture, and on the other, the downtrodden. The play presents the struggle that exists not between two individuals but between two social groups. The exploitative group wishes to continue its wicked, cunning, hypocritical practices incessantly, whereas the exploited group, realizing the falsity, doesn't allow themselves to be duped anymore. One group does not wish to lose hold on the depressed group, while the other group does not want to follow unjust practices meekly. Karnad is aware of the age-old social enmity. The artificial divisions created by Varnashrama made the life of the Shudras hellish one. The low caste people are in no way inferior to other high caste people. The origin and the end of life are the same throughout the universe. Every human being is bestowed with equal human rights. No particular man or a group of men has any right to oppress any human being. Every component of physical, mental, and intellectual capacities is the same throughout the human race. In Taladanda, Girish Karnad reinterprets and reconstructs, among other things, the olden values of social and political systems in relation to caste in India. The title Taladanda literally means beheading. Karnad borrowed the story of Taladanda from an important historical movement that took place in the city of Kalyana in Karnataka in 1168 AD. The movement was started by a group of poets, philosophers, mystics, and social reformers who wanted to change the Indian society for the better as well as to eradicate the evils of caste system. The eternal problem of caste and religion is the central theme of this play. Basavanna, the king's treasurer, founds a classless society of Sharanas, but that classless society breaks down finally immediately after a cobbler boy is married to a Brahman girl. King Bijala's caste, that is barber caste, is also prominently highlighted in this play. The problem of caste system described in this play has been an age-old problem in Indian, particularly Hindu society. The plot of this play exposes the ugly division of the Hindu society by presenting the 12th century communal struggle in the city of Kalyana in Karnataka when Bijala was the king of that part of India. Basavanna's chief idea was to unite people of various castes and create a new caste, that of Sharana. Bijala says, quote, look at those he has gathered around him, poets, mystics, visionaries, and nothing airy-fairy about them, mind you. All hard-working people from the common stock. They sit together, eat together, argue about God together, indifferent to caste, birth, or station. And all this is happening in the city of Kalyana, my Kalyana, unquote. In this play, people talk about removing caste barriers and becoming one. Here, a Sharana retains his occupation but gives up his caste. But this becomes a cultural problem in social transformation for the orthodox people of those times. In spite of the lofty noble aims behind founding of the Sharana movement, hardly any permanent solution is provided to the problems of caste created by the mingling of different castes. The major theme of this play is that of annihilation of caste in Hinduism in India to arrive at the real proper meaning and to reconstruct the same for the benefit of the society and the country. Carnad re-examines the set beliefs and deep-rooted casteist mentality of the Hindus. Carnad's motive behind writing this play, it seems, is to catch the pulse of socio-cultural and historical facets of India and Indian life. Basavanna in the play realizes the need for equality. He exposes the futility and falsity of casteism. He organizes a new sect of Sharana where every member acquires equal status in spite of his own caste, class, rank, and sex. He forms the Sharanas movement to blast the Varna structure. Jagadeva, his disciple, is a Brahmin by birth. His father, Samba Shiva Shastri, a stately priest, is a staunch devotee of traditional customary creed. He can't tolerate that his son has gone against the precepts and followed the principles of Sharana movement. Samba Shiva Shastri is very critical at Basavanna's revolutionary work. He considers Basavanna an impostor. Shastri feels that Basavanna has disdained his Brahman origin and is a traitor to his caste. It is crystal clear that Varna system does not allow anyone to change his grade. Every compartment is so made that no one comes outside and develops oneself. On the contrary, it is considered an offense. When a Shudra attempts to change his ancestral profession, he is given a severe punishment. No Shudra is allowed to progress in any respect. He must be happy with whatever he has. It is restriction on him to live and die without enjoying the outside world. A Shudra is born as Shudra in utter poverty and dies in the dire poverty. Bijala aptly comments on the concept of caste thus, quote, one's caste is like the skin on one's body. You can peel it off top to toe, but when the new skin forms, there you are again, a barber, a shepherd, a scavenger, unquote. King Bijala is a barber by caste, but he becomes the king by unfair means. His forefathers bribed the generation of Brahmins, giving them millions of cows. They did it in order to be considered Kshatriyas. Damodara Bhatta, not as an individual entity but as a class representative, is afraid of equality. He represents age-old orthodox beliefs and repudiates Basavanna's liberal attitude. If all men are considered equal, there won't be the concepts of superiority and inferiority. To protect the prestige and superiority of this Avarna, other people were deliberately kept in the dark. It is a general rule that if one is superior, somebody else should be inferior. White complexion has got importance because of the black color. A virtuous person shines because there is one vicious person. The high caste people enjoy the sweetness of Bhatta, knows well the teaching of the Manusmriti that caste must be taken into account when the person holds a post. He has a grudge against the barber king. It is therefore Bhatta who instigates Sovideva to punish the king for his wholehearted support to the intercaste marriage. Damodara Bhatta wants to curb the future practices of the Pratiloma marriages. He poisons the king's mind about the misappropriation of state fund by Basavanna. The incident of allegation of misappropriation of money against Basavanna has been taken from history by the playwright. Social reformers face such problems. They try to mold the prevalent unsocial custom according to their dogmas and ideologies. It is but natural that they become the target of conservatives. Basaveshwara in history had actually arranged a Pratiloma marriage between a Brahmin girl and a cobbler boy. A Brahmin can marry, if it is needed, any woman from any Varna or caste, but a Shudra should marry a woman of his own Dharma. A Pratiloma marriage is not possible in the case of the Brahmana since he belongs to the high caste. It is evident that a Pratiloma marriage is a taboo in the view of Manu. The Manusmriti contains the vicious intentions of the writer when it praises Brahmins and degrades women. The intercaste marriage breaks the apparent tranquility prevailed in, and a violent volcano erupts out, crushing down the noble movement. Actually, the marriage is arranged by the parents with the wholehearted support of their leaders. Nobody should have taken objection to it. But when one goes against the prevalent customs sanctioned by the Dharma, one violates the laws of God. Conservative people are already ready to sacrifice their own life to protect the laws of God. The intercaste marriage creates conflict in the present play. The two opponent parties have no personal grudge or hatred for each other. These two parties stand for their respective varnas. There is a clash between two dogmas, principles, and religious sects. The religious books advocate endogamy and not exogamy at any cost. Therefore, in India, if a marriage is contracted outside the caste, it is a sacrilege. The orthodox people raise the question of their superior status and prestige. Madhuvarasa's wife Lalitamba is a superstitious woman. She is told that something bad will take place if the marriage is performed. She relates the prophecy to Basavana. Quote, rivers of blood will flow if the marriage takes place. Limbs will rot in the streets. Unquote. Shilavanta's own position is very awkward. An age-old servility has made him a coward. Being a cobbler, he doesn't dare to accept a Brahmin girl as his bride. He knows that she will not tolerate the smell of leather. In spite of all the pros and cons discussed on the issue, the marriage takes place. The marriage is celebrated as a great festival in the life of the Sharanas. The dance in ecstasy as an opportunity is given to them to teach a rebellious lesson to the high caste people. The dupe group decides to take revenge on the conservative betrayers and exploiters. Therefore, they are ready to retaliate the counterattack by the conservative exploiter. Their houses have turned into armories. The marriage could have been performed usually, but the Sharana makes it a grand fair in the capital. The wedding procession is deliberately made a great success. As a representative of the bigots, Damodara Bhatta is challenged. He naturally becomes eager to take revenge on the parties concerned. Being a Brahman priest, he cannot use a weapon for the purpose. He therefore instigates Sovideva, the king's young son. Sovideva is an artless man of 20, having no concern with the marriage. But Bhatta recharges him to full blaze. Damodara Bhatta is a living scripture who cannot bear the disruption of the customs. Therefore, he instigates the son against the father. Sovideva becomes a deadly weapon in the hands of the priest. He dances according to the tunes that Bhatta plays. Bhatta and Manchana then perform the roles of the villains. They consider the marriage as an attack on their province. The marriage, from the point of view, ignites a flame of war. Many casualties take place as a consequence of the marriage. According to Damodara Bhatta's plot, the king is banished in his palace. His bodyguard is attacked. Bichala at once cries out, quote, treachery, bloody treachery, help, treason. Your son has slit my throat. He strapped me here. I was blind, Rambha. Blind. Fool, fool. I was on the watch against the worms outside while rising a snake inside the house. Unquote. Sovideva is declared to be the new king. A son has betrayed his father. Bichala cannot foresee such a treachery. It is a pathetic moment when Sovideva kicks his father. It is Bhatta who acts through Sovideva. He speaks out how essential the Varnashrama is. Quote, civilization has been made possible because our Vedic tradition controls and directs that self-destructive energy. How large-hearted is our Dharma? Unquote. Madhuvarasa and Haralaya are arrested. Their eyes are plucked. They are tied to elephants' legs and dragged through the streets. Their limbs are scattered in the streets. No Sharana comes forward to their help. Some Sharanas run away and some are slaughtered. The city of Kalyana becomes a graveyard. Sovideva's soldiers chase and butcher Sharanas. The couple, along with Kalavati's mother, leave the city. Shilavanta's mother must have committed suicide. The violence and bloodshed become unbearable to Basavana, so he leaves for Kappadi along with some Sharanas. Thus, they disappear from the scene at such a critical situation. His action of leaving his followers in a helpless condition is not at all creditable for him who teaches, quote, he who runs is not a warrior. A warrior shouldn't run. I will not run. Unquote. Like a real reformer, he should have laid his life fighting with the enemy. On the contrary, his wife Gangambika laid her life fighting with Sovideva's soldiers. When a captain or a leader runs away from the battlefield, the soldier's morale collapses immediately. His absence from the city brings disastrous consequences for his movement. His act of leaving the battlefield creates a doubt in the minds. After all, he is a Brahmin by birth. He works against the Varna Dharma, but when a decisive moment comes, he cannot stand boldly in support of his own people. He betrays his principles. Jagadeva must have felt jealousy for the barbar king Bijjala, who supports the marriage. After his father's death, Jagadeva wears a sacred thread and follows all the customary rites. It shows clearly that he hates the low caste king. Therefore, when an opportunity arrives, he stabs the king. Truly speaking, he knows Bijjala's support to the movement and the marriage. As a true Sharana, he must be grateful to the king. He must have helped the king to rescue him from the prison. Then what prompts him to kill the king? He lies to the king that leads the king out of the sacred place. Then the king is killed, and under sheer frustration, Jagadeva stabs himself. Sovideva cannot control the havoc. Feeling helpless, he orders to kill Damodara Bhatta. The city of Kalyana sways under the frightful cries of rapes, murders, and riots. Sovideva, the new king, gives final order to still the movement of the Sharana. The king is a slave of the scripture. The Orthodox group has taken a violent revenge on the Sharana. The noble movement is crushed to dust by the traditional orthodoxy. It can be considered as a grave warning to the social reformers who aspire for equality. Bigotry is always powerful. No one can easily challenge the ancient customs prescribed by the sacred text. Sovideva is crowned as a new king. The principle of liberty, equality, and fraternity is stilled. The Varnashrama supersedes the Sharana movement. It shows that a revolutionary step cannot be implemented hurriedly and rashly. It requires a proper atmosphere. Society doesn't accept an unexpected change all of a sudden. Falsity of the Varnashrama acquires strength to suppress the duped. The high caste society regains much power to mislead the have-nots astray. Thus, the play Taladanda can be regarded as a result of the age-old betrayal, deception that the Savarna has been doing for the lower caste. Dear students, this is in brief notes on the social betrayal in Girish Karnad's Taladanda. You can use these notes to write answers for any question related to caste system or revolutionary ideologies of Vachanakaras or about the main protagonist Basavana. In the next section, I will be speaking on women characters in Taladanda. Thank you.